My girlfriend said, if I can't have all your attention, maybe nobody should. I replied, then we're done. She laughed like I was bluffing. By midnight, she was crying outside my apartment, and by the end of the month, a judge was reading her messages out loud in court. Original post: I'm Nalan, 33M, and my ex is Kira, 30F. We were together a little over 2 years, and for the last 8 months she'd been staying at my apartment in Raleigh, North Carolina. The lease was in my name only. At first, Kira's jealousy looked almost flattering. Little comments, tiny tests. She'd ask who liked my photos, why a woman at work reacted to one of my jokes, why an old classmate still followed me. If I said they're just people I know, she'd smile and say, I'm only asking because I care. I work as a logistics coordinator for a medical supply company. Kira worked in event marketing downtown. She was social, sharp, and great with people. The problem was that every woman in my orbit slowly became, in her mind, a threat. Not because I gave her a reason, because she needed one. The arguments got stranger over time. My barista was too friendly. My team lead sounded too comfortable on a call. A female cousin commented happy birthday with a heart emoji, and Kira wanted an explanation. I'd explain every time, calmly. She'd apologize, then do it again a few days later. The final blow-up happened on a Thursday night. My company had just finished a brutal end-of-quarter stretch, and my manager took our team to an Italian place near the office. I told Kira where I'd be, who was going, and when I'd probably get home. She said okay. At 7:14, while appetizers were on the table, my phone lit up. Who's the blonde in the green top? Then another text, don't lie to me. I saw the photo Tyler posted. Tyler was the warehouse supervisor. He'd put a group picture on his Instagram story. 8 of us around the table. The blonde in the green top was Paige from accounting. Married, 2 kids. Very obviously sitting beside her husband, who also worked with us. I texted back, Paige from accounting. She's there with her husband. I told you this was a team dinner. Then, funny how you never smile like that in photos with me. I set my phone down. It buzzed again. If I can't have all your attention, maybe nobody should. I stepped outside and called her. She declined it. Then she texted, you heard me. That was it for me. Not because I was shocked. Because I was tired. I replied, then we're done. No speech. No debate. I paid my share, told my manager I had to handle something, and drove home. By the time I parked, I had 19 missed calls and 2 voicemails. The texts were already shifting. Nalan, stopped playing. You know what I meant. I was upset. Why would you say that? I unlocked my apartment and saw her shoes by the door, her giant water bottle on my nightstand, her prints on my wall, and something in me just went quiet. I started packing, not violently, neatly. Her clothes into the suitcases she'd brought when she first stayed over for a weekend. Makeup in a travel bag, hair products in a tote, shoes in a laundry basket. The diffuser, she said, made my place feel less like a bachelor cave. Packed that too. At 1021, she started pounding on the door. Nalan, open the door. I checked the peephole. Kira. Mascara smudged. Phone in hand, I didn't open it. She kept knocking, then crying. Finally, she said, you're really doing this over one text? I answered through the door. No, I'm doing this over 2 years of this. Then came the line that told me nothing was going to change. I was jealous. That means I love you, I said. Your bags are packed. I'll set a pickup time tomorrow. The next morning, she texted from her number, her work phone, then an unknown number. You're humiliating me. Please don't tell people we broke up like this. That last line told me her real problem was image, not regret. I replied once, pick up at 6 p.m. Bring someone if you need help. After tonight, do not come back without permission. She arrived with her friend Marnie. Kira looked around the apartment like she expected to find another woman hiding somewhere. So that's it, she asked. That's it, Marnie said. This seems extreme. I nodded toward Kira. Read me the text she sent. Kira shot her a look. Marnie went quiet. They loaded the bags in 2 trips. Before she left, Kira said, you're going to regret being this cold. I said, no, I'm going to enjoy the peace. At pickup, Marnie kept glancing at me like she wanted me to crack, apologize, say this had all gone too far. I didn't. Kira tried one last bait line before leaving. So that's it. 2 years and you don't even want to hear me out, I said. I heard you clearly the first time. That landed harder than yelling ever could have. She stared at me like silence was some kind of cruelty. It wasn't. It was just the first boundary she couldn't negotiate. That was the breakup. Clean, or so I thought. Update 1: the first few days were peaceful. I slept better, hit the gym, left my phone on the counter without wondering who would interrogate me over every notification. Then the flying monkeys showed up. First Marnie texted, "Kira feels abandoned." Kira thinks I used her jealousy as an excuse because I was already pulling away. I replied once. She told me if she couldn't have all my attention, nobody should. I took that seriously. Please don't contact me again. Then her brother Chase emailed me at work. Subject line, "Be a man." 3 paragraphs about how real relationships need reassurance and women get insecure when men act shady. I forwarded it to myself for documentation and deleted it. On day 5, Kira showed up at my office lobby. Reception called and said, "There's a woman here asking for you. She says it's personal." I said, "Tell her I'm unavailable. If she won't leave, call security." She left before security came, but not before handing reception an envelope with my name on it. Inside was a card and a photo from our Asheville trip. The card said, "I only went crazy because I thought I was losing you." Like chaos was romance. Like jealousy deserved a standing ovation, I saved the card. That same night Tyler texted me, "Bro, I don't want drama, but Kira DM'd my wife asking who Paige is." I apologized immediately. Tyler wrote back, "All good. Serena thinks your ex is nuts." Mine too. The next escalation came Saturday. I was at a coffee shop with my friend Devin when he went quiet and said, "Don't turn around fast." Kira was at the register. Maybe coincidence. Except this wasn't her side of town, not her coffee place, and she was wearing the dress I once told her was my favorite. She saw me and did the fake surprise routine. "Nalan. Wow." She looked at Devin. "Can I steal him for 2 minutes?" "No," I said. Her face changed. "You really hate me now." "I don't hate you, I want distance." Then she said the thing jealous people love saying when they want to normalize insanity. "Every woman gets jealous," Devin answered before I could. "Not like this." She glared at him, then me. "So now your friends are involved." I stood up and said, "Do not follow me." She didn't. But later Tyler sent me a screenshot of her Instagram story. Funny how fast people replace you once you stop begging. That night she called from an unknown number and left a voicemail. "I just want to talk. And if you're already seeing someone, you should be honest, because this sudden personality shift doesn't happen for no reason." There it was. Jealousy had flipped directions. Now she was jealous of women who didn't even exist. The next Monday, my mother called me laughing in that dangerous way people laugh when they're furious. "Your ex contacted me on Facebook," Mom said. "She says you're having an emotional affair with someone at work and she's trying to save the relationship." "What did you say?" "I said if she contacts me again, I'll help you pay for the lawyer." That was when I stopped viewing this as breakup messiness and started treating it like a paper trail. I made a folder, screenshots, call logs, the card, the voicemail, my mother's screenshots, Tyler's text, dates, times, everything. Because by then I knew Kira wasn't falling apart because the relationship ended. She was falling apart because she no longer controlled the emotional weather. Update 2: about 2 weeks after the breakup, I started seeing someone casually. Nothing serious. Just a few dinners with a woman named Tessa who Devin introduced me to at trivia night. She was a physical therapist, funny, direct, and normal. If I took 20 minutes to answer a text, she did not build a conspiracy board in her head. I didn't post her, didn't announce anything. Kira still found out. One Thursday, Tessa and I were eating on the patio of a burger place downtown when Kira appeared beside our table like she'd been waiting for a cue. Tessa looked up first. "Do you know her?" Kira answered for me. "Yeah, unfortunately." I stood up. "Leave." She ignored me and looked at Tessa. "Did he tell you he ends relationships by throwing women out over nothing?" Tessa said. "I think you should go." Kira laughed. "Of course, the calm new girl, that's convenient." I took my phone out. "I'm calling the police." Instead of leaving, she grabbed the water glass from our table and dumped it across Tessa's lap. The whole patio froze. Tessa stood up slowly and said, "Please call them." So I did. Kira left before officers arrived, but the restaurant manager gave me a written incident note and confirmed they had security footage. Tessa squeezed my arm and said, "You need to stop hoping she'll calm down on her own." She was right. The next morning, I filed a police report for harassment. Just facts. Repeated unwanted contact, office visit, messages to coworkers' families, contacting my mother, following me to a coffee shop, public confrontation. I also had an attorney send a cease and desist. Expensive, but worth it. For 3 days, things were quiet, then she escalated again. She created a new email address and sent a complaint to HR pretending to be a concerned source reporting an inappropriate relationship between me and Paige. Paige is not my subordinate. We barely work together. HR saw through it quickly because my manager already knew enough of the situation, but it was still humiliating. I got a copy of that email from my attorney. When HR called me in about the fake complaint, my manager closed the door first and said, "I'm assuming this is connected to your ex." I told him yes. He sighed, slid the printed email across the desk and said, "I figured. Save everything." That moment helped more than he probably realized. There's something grounding about another adult looking at chaos and naming it correctly. That evening, I found Kira sitting on the hallway floor outside my apartment like she was staging her own documentary. I stopped several feet away. "You need to leave." She looked up and said, "I know about the girl." "There is no girl, Kira," she smiled. "There's always a girl." That sentence genuinely chilled me because it meant this was no longer about me. It was about a story she needed to be true. I said, "You are not allowed here anymore. If you come back, I'm calling the police." She stood up. "You made me feel replaceable," I answered. "No, I made you accountable." She slapped my door with the flat of her hand and walked off down the hall. My downstairs neighbor, Dale, opened his door 3 inches and said, "You want me to email you the camera footage from the hallway?" Yes, I did. My attorney filed for a protective order the next morning. Final update court was 3 weeks later. Kira showed up in a beige sweater, minimal makeup, hair pulled back, looking like she'd Googled what stable people wear to hearings. Her attorney tried the soft approach. My attorney came with a binder thick enough to stop a door. Bad breakup, texts, heightened unknown number calls, miscommunication, the office envelope, the voicemail, my mother's screenshots, Tyler's screenshots, the HR email, the police report, the restaurant note, the hallway video from Dale. The call log from the night of the breakup, showing 23 attempted contacts in under 2 hours. When the judge asked Kira why she messaged Tyler's wife over a team dinner photo, she said she'd had intuitive concerns. The judge actually blinked. Then my attorney played the voicemail where she said, "If you're already seeing someone, you should be honest, because this sudden personality shift doesn't happen for no reason." Then he read the original text out loud. "If I can't have all your attention, maybe nobody should." The courtroom went very still. The judge asked, "What exactly did you mean by that?" Kira cried and said she was hurt, insecure, afraid of abandonment, and had only wanted reassurance. The judge said, "What you wanted does not excuse repeated unwanted contact, interference with employment, or showing up where you were told not to be." Then he granted the order. 1 year. No contact. No third-party contact. Stay 300 feet away from my residence, workplace, and vehicle. I walked out feeling lighter than I had in months. Kira tried one last trick 2 days later through her cousin, who texted me, "She just wants closure." I forwarded that to my attorney. Violation noted. Her lawyer shut it down fast after that. As for the rest of life, it got better in very ordinary ways, which is the best kind of better. Tessa and I kept seeing each other slowly. No rush. No games. She once left her phone on my couch for 2 hours and laughed when she came back for it instead of accusing me of doing something with it. That alone felt like healing. At work, I got promoted to senior route planner after the quarter closed. My manager told me I'd handled a difficult personal situation with more composure than most people manage on a normal Tuesday. Paige from accounting joked about being my infamous mystery mistress, then apologized. which honestly made me laugh harder than I had in a while. My mother still hates Kira, deeply. She refers to her as that little FBI intern. Tyler and Serena invited me to a backyard cookout just to prove there was no weirdness. Dale downstairs now nods at me like we survived a small war together. And the apartment is quiet. No interrogations over likes. No sudden mood shifts because a cashier was polite. No fights about women I barely knew. No emotional hostage situations dressed up as passion. That's the part people romanticize too much. They confuse jealousy with depth, possessiveness with devotion, suspicion with love. It isn't. Jealousy is not proof that someone values you. Sometimes it's proof they want ownership, not partnership. Kira didn't want a boyfriend. She wanted full surveillance rights over a human being who kept reassuring her while she invented new reasons not to trust him. The moment I stopped performing innocence for crimes I didn't commit, she lost her grip and called it heartbreak. It wasn't heartbreak. It was the collapse of control. If you've ever been with someone who mistakes access for entitlement, pay attention early. The constant questions, the accusations disguised as concern, the loyalty tests. The way your normal life starts shrinking so they won't react. You keep thinking peace is one explanation away. It isn't. Some people do not want clarity. They want the right to keep you defending yourself forever. I'm done doing that. If you've ever dealt with jealousy like this, or watched someone you love go through it, tell me in the comments. Subscribe, like, and share if you want more stories like this, and let me know whether you think I ended it at exactly the right time or should have walked away even sooner.